Imagine being a kid, standing there while a police officer laughs in your face, mocking you for something you know is true. That's exactly what happened to 12-year-old Jamal when he tried to explain why his dad wasn't at his school event. "My dad's in the Special Forces," Jamal said proudly, only for the officer to smirk and shake his head like it was some kind of joke. "Yeah, sure, kid," the cop chuckled, not even trying to hide his disbelief. But what that officer didn't know, Jamal wasn't lying, and his dad was about to prove it in a way no one saw coming. This all went down on what should have been a normal afternoon. Jamal's school was hosting a career day, and parents were invited to talk about their jobs. Jamal had been excited all week. His dad, Marcus, was a hero, a real-life Special Forces operative who'd served multiple tours overseas. But when Marcus got called away last minute for a mission, Jamal was crushed. Still, he held his head high, telling anyone who'd listen about his dad's brave work. That's when Officer Daniels, one of the cops volunteering at the event, overheard him. At first it seemed harmless, just a little teasing. But the way Officer Daniels kept pushing, making snide comments like, "Special Forces, huh? Bet he's too busy to show up," made Jamal's chest tighten. Other kids started giggling and Jamal felt his face burn. He wanted to scream the truth, but what could he do? His dad wasn't there to back him up, or was he? Because right then the gym doors swung open. A hush fell over the crowd as a man in full military gear walked in, his boots echoing with every step. The room froze. Jamal's eyes lit up. It was his dad. Marcus's sharp gaze locked onto Officer Daniels, who suddenly wasn't laughing anymore. The air was thick with tension as Marcus approached, his presence commanding silence. "You got a problem with my son?" he asked, his voice calm but edged with something dangerous. Officer Daniels swallowed hard, his earlier smirk long gone. The kids around them held their breath, waiting for what would happen next. But that's where we'll have to pause, because what came after? Let's just say Officer Daniels learned a lesson he'd never forget. Stick around for the full story. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when a Special Forces dad steps in to defend his son. The gymnasium was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. All eyes were locked on Marcus as he stood there, his posture straight, his expression unreadable. He wasn't in his usual civilian clothes, no, he was still in his tactical gear, fresh off whatever mission had pulled him away in the first place. The patches on his uniform, the insignias, the way he carried himself, it all screamed authority, in a way that made even the adults in the room sit up a little straighter. Jamal's heart pounded in his chest. He had never seen his dad like this, not in person at least. He'd heard stories, seen pictures, but this was different. This was real. And the look in Marcus's eyes? That wasn't just a soldier's stare. That was a father's stare. "Officer," Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his earlier confidence evaporating. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, maybe an apology, maybe another joke to play it off, but nothing came out. The other kids were wide-eyed, glancing between Jamal, his dad, and the cop who had just been laughing moments ago. The teacher in charge of career day, Ms. Reynolds, finally broke the silence with a nervous cough. Mr. Carter, we weren't expecting you. Thank you for coming." Marcus gave a small nod but didn't take his eyes off Officer Daniels. "Had to make it," he said simply. Then, in a voice just loud enough for the cop to hear, he added, "Wouldn't want my son thinking I let people disrespect him." The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Jamal wanted to run over and hug his dad, but something held him back. Maybe the way the whole room was watching, maybe the way Officer Daniels' face had gone pale. Then, just like that, Marcus turned away, breaking the stare down like flipping a switch. He walked over to Jamal and put a firm hand on his shoulder. "You good?" he asked quietly. Jamal nodded fast, his throat tight. "Yeah, I'm good." Marcus squeezed his shoulder, once before facing the rest of the room. And just like that, the energy shifted. The fear and tension melted into curiosity, because now everyone wanted to hear what a real Special Forces soldier had to say. But Officer Daniels, he wasn't ready to let it go. As Marcus started talking to the kids about teamwork, discipline, and what it really meant to serve, the cop lingered near the back, arms crossed, jaw clenched, Every now and then, his eyes flicked toward Jamal with something that wasn't quite anger, more like embarrassment mixed with resentment. Meanwhile, Jamal couldn't stop grinning. His dad was here, and not just here. He was commanding. The room. The other kids were hanging onto his every word, especially when Marcus pulled out a few declassified stories. Nothing too intense, just enough to make them lean in. Even the teachers looked impressed. But then, just as Marcus was finishing up, Officer Daniels cleared his throat loudly. "Sounds like a real tough job," he said, his tone just a little too casual. "Must be hard proving what you actually do, though, classified and all." The room went still again. It wasn't an outright challenge, but it was close. Marcus didn't react at first. Then, slowly, he turned to face the cop. "You'd be surprised what people can prove when they need to," he said, his voice calm, but with an edge that sent a chill down Jamal's spine. Officer Daniels held his gaze for a second too long before finally looking away, but Jamal could tell. This wasn't over. As the event wrapped up, kids swarmed Marcus asking for autographs, pictures, even tips on how to join the military one day. Jamal stood off to the side, watching his dad with pride. But then he noticed Officer Daniels talking to another cop near the exit, their voices low, their expressions serious. Jamal's stomach twisted. What were they saying? Was this going to cause trouble for his dad? Marcus must have sensed something was off because he excused himself from the crowd and walked back to Jamal. "Ready to go?" he asked. Jamal hesitated. "Dad, that cop. He was saying stuff earlier and now..." Marcus followed his gaze to where Officer Daniels stood. His expression darkened for just a second before he shook his head. "Don't worry about him. Let's get out of here." But as they walked toward the parking lot, Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. And sure enough, just as they reached Marcus's truck, a voice called out from behind them. "Hey, Carter, hold up a second." They turned. Officer Daniels was standing there, his partner a few steps behind him. His tone was different now, less mocking, more calculating. "We just had a few questions, you mind?" Marcus exhaled slowly like he'd been expecting this. "About?" The cop smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Just making sure everything checks out. You know how it is." Jamal's pulse spiked. This wasn't just about career day anymore. This was something else. And the way his dad's hand subtly moved toward his phone, that told Jamal one thing. Whatever was coming next, it wasn't going to be simple.